Meta decks hate him. Chicks love him. I give you Sky Scourge Norleras. So, I'm pretty sure we all know what this card does by now. It is probably one of the most scary decks to face. I'm not going to say this deck is by any way one of the best decks in Edison format, but this card is scary. You lose your entire hand thanks to Phantom of Chaos and possibly what's ever on your field, depending on if the deck is going first or second. You have several ways with this deck to get these in the graveyard, and I'm going to explain the entire theory and idea behind this deck. I do think that it's super fun to play and definitely can be scary. So, with Norleras nuking everything, obviously you have to play your 3 Phantom of Chaos in this Vayu Sworn Norleras deck. And then you also play Greffer because Greffer dumps Norleras. You simply can just pitch this to Special Greffer, normal your Chaos, and the rest is history. You can summon your Greffer by discarding this, pitch a Vayu to pitch Sirocco, nuke everything, and then you have a 2300 guy and a card in hand when your opponent has nothing, so it's very hard for them to come back from that. That's basically the idea behind the deck. You want to load up your graveyard, with your Siroccos and Vayus and your Norleras and nuke everything. We have a Plague Spreader zombie for another good card in the graveyard, and then we have this small Lightsworn package. I really, really wanted to make this deck 40 cards. I promise you that this deck went through so many different versions and refining before I landed on something that I think is pretty consistent and does what it wants to do. So yeah, we have this package. We have the Dark Armed, this card, obviously, for obvious reasons. Then your Vayu Turbo stuff. We have triple Raikou. We're not playing any hamsters in this deck list, so obviously we're going to max out on the guy that deals the most removal. We play a copy of Lumina, of course. Double Lila. Yeah, again, another card that, probably could play 3, but we have a lot of normal summons in this deck already, being between these two and the Raikou, so this works. We play Gores, of course. This is a phenomenal card to rip off the top, especially if you have to Phantom of Chaos and you don't have a way to summon Armwing set up. Double Judgment Dragon as another phenomenal card to rip off the top with Norleras effect, or just in general after drawing. The Plague Spreader, like I said, and then we have Arcus, Aaron, Jane, and one Celestia. Most of the time, we're not going to be leaving a Lightsworn up, so it's very hard to tribute summon. This is more just for hands where it takes a while to get started, and the fact that it's another name, it's better than a lot of the other Lightsworns we could play. Triple Solar Recharge. This is going to help us cycle through stuff, get these cards in our hand or in the graveyard. Gold Sark to Gold Sark JD, or Card Destruction, or Phantom of Chaos. Honestly, there's so many different things you can Gold Sark depending on the hand in this deck. Sometimes you want to grab this, sometimes you want to grab this. Even Burial, because this card especially, if you Phantom of Chaos and you send these to the graveyard and you have this card, I promise you, it's just game. It's just game if you draw this card. Charger Light Brigade adds pretty much anything, and Card Destruction, of course. If you are able to resolve Card Destruction and this in a turn, there's no way you are losing. You just should not be able to lose. I guess it's worth noting that Phantom of Chaos can also, pay 1,000 and nuke the board with Judgment Dragon's effect, so that's pretty neat. For the side deck, it's pretty much all cards for different matchups, and if you look at these cards, almost every single one of these cards is good to draw off the top, except for Lightning Vortex. So if I nuke the board and I draw Cyber Dragon against machine decks, that's fine. If I draw Thunder King, this is an insane follow-up normal summon that's very good against heroes and goblin zombies, Sangins, things that search. Chaos Sorcerer, another boss monster. The Vortex, like I said. Giant Trunade and Heavy Storm, self-explanatory. MST, Double Decree. This locks out decks that are heavy on trap cards. Double Deck Dev. If you put one of the Armed Wings up with these guys in the grave, and then your Phantom of Chaos draws you this, it's very, very strong. Very strong. because your opponent's literally top decking. So if you can hit them and they top deck, small monsters, like this card says skip your next 3 draw phases. So pretty insane. And then double Mask Restrict. You draw this against frogs after ripping everything, you win. And the extra, this is very generic. Chimeratek, Cataster, Tempest, and Parshath. These are more for like the Lightsworn cards or decks or cards you'd see in Lightsworn decks. Black Rose, Brio, Goyo, Stardust, Thought Ruler, and Colossal. Those are all very standard. Triple Armed Wing. Yeah, you're gonna need these, especially with Burial. 1 Armor Master, just in case this goes to graveyard and you're not able to pick up another Sirocco yet. And then Dark End. The extra deck is tight, and I didn't really have Silverwind come up that much. If you wanted to play it, the card to cut would probably be Tempest Magician. Or if you don't play Sidra, I guess you can cut this. But I like having this regardless if I play Sidra or not, because you'd be amazed. But yeah, that's the deck, guys. I have a few replays for you. I tried to get some good ones, but I'm just waiting for Edison Ladder, which will be available March 30th, because a lot of people quit when you try to get in games. It's just how it goes. All right, so first one. We have Sirocco, Gores, Norleras, Lila, Foolish, Goldsark. So we're going to Goldsark for card destruction. We have 2 very good cards in our hand that want to be in the grave. So we summon Lila. End phase, we're going to mill 3. Our opponent trade-ins for the creator, which very interesting. He's playing a Lightsworn deck. Okay, so we're going to lose our Lila here. Not a big deal. Alright, so we draw Vayu. So, pretty solid. We just set the Vayu here. Our opponent banishes 2. They're going to summon Soul of Purity and Light. And then they go to attack. They kill our Vayu. And then they're going to attack with Jane. And this is going to allow us to drop Gores. We're going to get a token. Main phase 2. They thought about tributing something. Are they going to do it? Yes, they do it to set a monster. So I'm figuring it's creator at this point, because why else would you tribute summon face down? I mean, I don't know their deck exactly, but it just seems logical given that he has more defense than attack. So we draw Phantom of Chaos, and we get card destruction to our hand. So obviously we're going to then be using that this turn. We're going to Foolish Vayu. We summon Phantom of Chaos, and then we card destruction, dumping Sky Scourge and our Sirocco. We draw Grepher and Lumina. And then we are going to use Phantom of Chaos. It's going to nuke everything, which is totally fine because we have a loaded grave. So I kind of misstepped, but we're going to draw here. So we swing with the Armed Wing after making it. We draw a Lila. I'm going to swing for another 23 here. Our opponent has Mirror Force, which is totally fine. Main phase 2, we summon Lila and mill 3. Our opponent has nothing. Here we summon Arcus, and then we banish Vayu and Armwing for Armor Master. And then this should just be game, or close to. I mean, I don't know how our opponent comes back from this. End phase, we mill Vayu. So our opponent scoops it up. They have nothing. I believe in this game, I think our opponent does some cool stuff. So I want you guys to see this. So our opponent sets a back row. We draw. We Solar Recharge Raikou. Drawing Aaron and Judgment Dragon. We Goldsark. We grab Phantom of Chaos here. We summon Aaron. And we attack for 16. End phase, we're going to mill 3. Got some names in there. Our opponent draws nothing, which is crazy. Here we're just going to swing again. End phase, we're going to mill 3 again. Our opponent has charge. They mill 3. And they grab Wolf, so I'm assuming they're just going to solar recharge it away. Which they do. I had to remind him to mill 2. And then he solar recharges again. Gotta love when that happens. He brain controls our Aaron, which I'm feeling okay at this point because I have Gores in my hand. He drops Soul. Summons Guardian of Order, which I'm just like, whoa, what is happening here? Sacks both of these for the Creator. Then he's going to use the Creator's effect. He pitches Christie and tries to revive it. I'm like, you can't do that. You have to pick something different with the Creator. So he picks Soul, and it was properly summoned, so that's okay. Banishes 2 more lights for Soul, and I'm like, okay, we're in death range, but you know we have Gores. And then he DDRs, which I'm like, oh, he banished Christia, so like he could not have picked a more perfect hand. Like, look at this. This was just a turn of explosion. Like, this was crazy to me. So yeah, obviously I die. What can I do? You know what I mean? Like, there's literally nothing I can do to this. So we lose here. I just said LOL. He says he think his junk grew 3 inches during that turn, which I agree. That was pretty nuts. So this game, we solar recharge our Celestia away. Pick up Aaron and Foolish. We Gold Sark, 4 card destruction, and we set 1. Card destruction is usually what I Gold Sark for, especially if I have JD in my hand, which has been happening these games. He set a Raikou into my Raikou, which was just weird. I mean, seems like you would want to lose something else, but whatever. Then I summon Aaron. I'm going to hit him for 1,800 total. Waiting to see if he drops Gores or not, and nothing. Okay. He brain controls my Aaron again. I'm like, oh, great. Here comes a repeat. So he summons Honest, beats over my Raikou, which is fine. Attacks for 1,600, which is fine. And he mills some cards. So I draw Raikou. Which, speaking of which, if you guys noticed, I don't play Honest in this list. Again, the room is very hard. I think Honest is a very, very amazing card, but it doesn't help when my game plan is Phantom of Chaos. So I'm just going to drop double JD here, and game's over. So, yeah, as we can see, Graveyard, 4 Lightsworns, pretty crazy. And if that wasn't enough, I was Foolishing Sirocco, which would have been well over enough. So yeah, that is duel number 1. Game 2, this one is kind of silly. So our opponent starts with a charge. And looks like they're playing a similar deck to me. They set a back row, set a card, Allure, they banish Sirocco. So yeah, at this point I'm like, okay, they're playing like a Vayu Sworn deck, probably not the Norleras stuff, like me. I Allure, banish Plague, I Greffer Norleras away. I use Greffer to pitch Vayu, dump Sirocco, and then I summon Phantom of Chaos. And he admits defeat, and then he just leaves the duel, as you can see. Yeah, so I guess he just felt like he got sacked, which he kind of did, but still, don't be this guy. Quitting games just because you lose one game. It's kind of ridiculous. This is a pretty solid match. This is against a Fish OTK deck. So, main phase 1, a normal Phantom of Chaos. I card Destruction away in my hand because I have Norleras. Draw 4. Opponent pitches their hand. I'm going to Phantom of Chaos here to nuke everything, which sadly I didn't really pick up any Blackwing stuff, which is fine. I draw Greffer, pass back to our opponent. They have nothing. I draw Celestia. I just pass again. I'm waiting to get a dark with Greffer. They summon Oystermeister, whatever, you know. Alright. And then I draw Lila, so I go ahead and summon it. I'm going to hit the Oystermeister. I mill Vayu, and our opponent's seen enough. So in this game, our opponent is going to go first. They start with Gold Sark. I'm probably assuming for Quellacanth here, but Giant Trunade. I did not understand this. I mean, I guess in theory it's just like an added layer of protection in case I did set something, but it's like, why is it still in your deck? You're playing against a deck that you should look at and just be like, okay, there's no way he plays back row. But I guess. Okay, so here I get Spiritual Watered, which was super annoying because I know he's taking Greffer. So yep, he took Greffer. I summon Jane, attack him for 1800. I mill 2, and I mill the Dark, so I'm like, okay, one more Dark in the grave, and then I can drop Dark Arm, so I'm confident I'm going to win this game. Okay, so we're going to get Substitoad lined here, which happens. Time to tribute my whole deck. Yeehaw. I'll just fast forward this. Okay. Next, he summons out Quellacanth after tributing both Dupe Frogs, which, here we go. Getting a lot of damage. I was pretty confident that he could come close to killing me this turn. But, yeah, he makes Stardust. Can't bring back Fishboard because he has no hand. We're going to lose our Jane, and we're going to take some damage here. But here I'm like, okay, we can definitely do some stuff. I draw Sirocco, and looking here, I don't really have like a good play. I mean, if I set Raikou, I risk milling more than one Dark, and then Dark Arm's just dead. Because I'd obviously do mill only, but then I probably die if he attacks with Metabo Shark. Or wait, he can't attack with Metabo Shark because of Quellacanth. But regardless, I'm pretty confident that this was probably not right. So I decided to just set Vayu. So I have my third Dark Engrave and I can play. You might ask, well, why not summon Vayu and crash into something? Well, he has Stardust. So like, what is this Dark Arm going to do? I'm going to summon it. And then he just crashes with Quellacanth, and that's it. Okay. So I set... oh, wait. I did set the Raikou here. Interesting. I thought I set the Vayu, but I did not. He attacks with Stardust. I go Raikou, 2 mill, and I did not mill a Dark. Okay. So he attacks for 28, sets a back row. Now here... I get Spiritual Watered again. I lose my Dark Armed. I'm like, okay, well, that plan just didn't work. Okay, I charge. I mill 2 Darks. So, again, milled over with the charge. So I guess it really just didn't work out in my favor. Here, I'm like, what can I do? I summon Sirocco, and I look at my grave, and I'm like, yeah, nope, not going to win. So I just scoop. Yeah. There's just not much I could do there. Here, we have a crazy hand. We are going to Solar Recharge our Lumina. We draw another Solar Recharge. And then we Solar Recharge our Raikou. Draw some other good cards that we want in the graveyard, but nothing really to help out my game plan. But I do have 3 Lightsworns with this Judgment Dragon, so that can be coming into play as long as I see another Lightsworn. So I just go ahead and Gold Shark card destruction right away. And then I pass my turn. My opponent soul releases my graveyard, which is totally fine because I have Burial. So I don't care about that. Looks like our opponent Gold Sarks for DD Crow, which, okay, I guess. They set a monster. We summon Arcus. We're going to attack the face down. It could have been a Dupe Frog, which whatever, we take 800, but it's mainly just to mill. So our opponent brings back their Treeborn here. and they do nothing, which thank God it wasn't a Caius or something. We draw deck dev, but we're getting card destruction this turn. So I set the deck dev, and then I burial my graveyard. So now I have plenty of good cards. I summon the Judgment Dragon, because 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I card destruction away the good or the bad cards in my hand, but obviously they're amazing in the graveyard. So draw 3 cards, and we drew Foolish and Judgment Dragon. Ridiculous. I Foolish the Vayu away. I summon out a Armed Wing, and then I drop the second Judgment Dragon. This is plenty enough for game. So, yep, our opponent scoops it up. But yeah, guys, that is the Norleras Vayu deck. If you want to play it, I suggest playing it. Maybe, who knows, make your own version. Check it out, see what you can do with it. Experiment with these piles with Lightsworn. I think that Lightsworn is... Pure Lightsworn is an overrated deck in Edison format. Seems like Blackwings and Lightsworn are kind of the decks that people jump to, or Glads when they first get into Edison. But as far as the amount of cards that are good in the graveyard, I think that it's still underexplored. I think that these Lightsworn piles are very, very unexplored. I think that we're capable of building better Lightsworn decks, and we should always strive to do so. But yeah, if you guys like this video, you like this type of content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Nomad out. Peace.